Hello. In this clip from our Justia webinar, Attorney Licensure and the Impaired Professional, Lori Beston and Tracy Kepler talked about how lawyers with mental health issues can seek help and discussed different assistance programs for lawyers. If you want to see more Justia videos on law practice and legal marketing, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Luckily for us, we are seeing changes around the country where state jurisdictions recognize that at its core, you need to be a healthy lawyer to comply with your other ethical obligations. Vermont has already changed the comments to their rules, saying, look, mental, emotional, physical well-being may have an impact on your duty to on your ability, I should say, to represent clients. Virginia also changed its rules. California changed the black letter rule. And just recently, in May, we saw Utah add a comment to their rules. The American Bar Association is also looking at changing some of the language as well. But what do you do? What is the Lawyer's Assistance Program? I mean, what are they going to do for you, Lori? If we say reach out to them, how are they going to help?
That's a great question. We save lives, but it doesn't need to be a story as extreme as mine. I will just speak on Pennsylvania because I'm obviously seated in Pennsylvania, but we realize you can be seated anywhere. Pennsylvania is 24/7. Almost every single lawyer's assistance program is 24/7. These issues aren't 9 to 5. If it was only 9 to 5, I would never make it to the next day. So we understand that 2:00 in the morning, if somebody's willing, window of opportunity is this small. What does the lawyer's assistance do? We offer a range of confidential, as in you do not even need to give your name when you call. I don't care what state you're in. You can call and say, my name is anonymous. I'm an attorney. I'm struggling with blank. And how can you help me? We offer Pennsylvania, we have the healthcare providers therapists. We have 152 across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Every lawyer's assistance program either has in-house therapeutic supports or refers out, but we pay for the initial session. And if somebody needs financial help thereafter, we will get it covered. That's the bottom line. We expect that when people call us, they are down on their luck. They may not have insurance. They may need resources in addition to supports for mental health and substance use. They may need living supports. So a lawyer's assistance program, besides having a therapeutic component, we have volunteers. It's now become termed the DAVE. The gentleman that reached out and passed the message on to me, we have 315 DAVEs, lawyers, judges, family members, law students. So when you call, you'll talk to someone you feel you can identify with. We also have a ton of literature and information on all of our websites. We also all have staff. I think there may only be 1 or 2 labs. We only have 1 executive director, but we have staff. So when you're struggling, we can get supports in place. If you're considering, or you have a family member considering going to treatment, you call us. We'll take care of arranging everything down to transportation. When somebody is struggling in your life, in your firm, it's an emergency. You can't take the time to call the phone number on the back of your card. I mean, you can, but it's really difficult to do all of that. The bottom line is we are here to support your lives. In Pennsylvania, we support staff. We support anybody that is in your life that may be struggling, because if they're struggling, it's impacting you. We also have and almost every lab has recovery support meetings. Doesn't mean AA, doesn't mean NA. It just means you are an attorney in recovery from a substance use or mental health disorder, and the folks come together. Sometimes people in Pennsylvania feel more comfortable attending the Texas meetings. They're virtual, so it's possible to do those things. Intervention, this is another big one. I already talked about this. If you're concerned about somebody, even if you cannot be involved, even if you call the lawyer's assistance program and say, I was in court with somebody, I cannot be involved, they're opposing counsel, this is the attorney's name, they're struggling. Call us, give us the opportunity to reach out to somebody. Let us offer a lifeline. When we call somebody, they know we're not the disciplinary board, we're not even connected to the disciplinary board. When we call, It's because somebody cared enough to pick up the phone to call to try to give them a lifeline. That's why 80 to 90% of the cold calls that we make, people accept support and resources. They appreciate that people care. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Tracy, because I want you to talk about what the firm can do.
Sure. Briefly, we heard about a situation where perhaps the firm didn't act in the best way that they could. And I think there are a whole bunch of things that the firm should do and can do to focus on these issues. And it really is a cultural change across the board. And you can see from this slide, which is taken from an International Bar Association survey, people want improved workplace culture. That is what's going to make the difference. Decreasing the stigma, increasing levels of openness, a culture of mutual respect around these issues, as well as this direct intervention and support. This place of coming from I care makes a difference. In addition, there are all kinds of impairment policies that firms can put in place, well-being templates that address impairments, that talk about how, if you need to take a leave of absence, if there needs to be a referral to treatment, maybe it's just what you're doing. Maybe you were not meant to be a litigator. Maybe appellate work is better for you. Whatever it is, a change of scenery so that you can still work, you can still be productive, but it might help with some of the issues that you're facing. In addition, having a well-being committee, or at least someone designated in the firm, separate and apart from the HR department, who can talk about these issues. Confidential reporting procedures, working hand in hand, developing a partnership with the labs to make it possible. And one more I'll talk about before I turn it back over to Lori, and it's something that we've heard about through COVID and we're still continuing to hear about. Plus, it's one of the Surgeon General's main concerns. There's a difference between, being alone and loneliness, combating that isolation, and really encouraging interconnectivity. You can partner, you can see people, you can talk, you can discuss. It's so key for really working to combat signs of work addiction and rooting out these kinds of problems in a proactive manner on the firm's part before you have to be reactive. So Lori, as we close, what can one person do? What kind of difference can one person make in their own lives and changes that people can put in place in their own lives to help on this path?
One person, Dave, reached out to me, and here I sit 19 years later, and the thousands of people I've been able to share this story with, which is our story. You never know when you help somebody what's going to happen with that person. But in order to before we can even dive into, and I know you're going to interrupt with codes in about a minute, so we're ready for that. Whenever you guys are going to do that, we will wrap the program up in about 2 minutes. But I just want to talk briefly about boundaries. We kick off the holidays, regardless of whether you're watching this on demand and it's February. But in November, we kick off starting the holidays, November. Okay, the word no, how many of us, we're like the holidays, but we're so overbooked. Nobody thinks, what do I want my holiday to look like? No, I'm going to bake cookies, I'm going to do this, but blah, 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 blah. I mean, put up the trees, see the lights. We are all so stressed out because we're so overcommitted. The bottom line is you have to be a priority. That includes, and we were just talking about this before the program, if you are out of your office, if you're on vacation, if you're traveling for work, if you are attending a show with your family, and you put an away message on your email, trust that people can actually deal with that. And you don't need to respond. I was just on a trip in South Africa, responding to emails that weren't even urgent. Using the away message, it handles itself, it sends itself for every email. Monitoring all of your screen time. We do not realize how much time we spend on screens. If we realized how limited time was, and it's our only non-renewable resource, we would spend a lot less time staring at screens than we actually do. Next slide, if you can go to the next slide. Even before the pandemic, I was guilty of this. I'd say, everybody, have a nice weekend. I'm leaving, shut down everything, get in my car, turn on my phone, and start responding to emails. The point is, Just like our phones need a hard reset from time to time, so do we. Many of us think, oh, no, I don't need sleep. I can stay up and work all night. I only need 3 to 4 hours. Really? Google it. You're wrong. You need 7 to 8 hours. And if you think you don't, imagine how fabulous you'll feel if you think you only need 3 to 4, but you get 7 to 8. Google it. When I presented at Harvard, I picked up their law record because I didn't go to Harvard, obviously. I just wanted to know what the article would say, and it was on wellness. And the number one article in Harvard's law record said, buy yourself an alarm clock. And I'm like, I need Harvard to tell me to buy an alarm clock. And the message in the entire article was, how many of us sleep with our phone next to our head? Right next to your head. You go to sleep, your phone's right there because you need to know what time it is. Buy an alarm clock, because how many of us look at our phone in the middle of the night to see what time it is, and boom, you realize you missed somebody's birthday. Oh my God, the brief was due. You forgot to respond to that text. There goes your sleep. What do you think the most important thing is sleep? Manage your apps. I will just say I watched a TED talk that indicated we spend 3 times the amount of time on apps that make us unhappy versus apps that make us happy. There's a list of them. The ones that make us happy, what's the difference? They have an ending cue. It's an exercise. It's over in 45 minutes. It's a relaxation meditation. It's over in 5 minutes. The unhappy ones, doom scrolling. It just never, ever ends. And we have family and pets and people we care about that are standing around us, waiting for our time and attention. And instead, we are scrolling our lives away on time. It's not like we get a notice that somebody says, hey, you're going to die in 30 days. No, we live and act like we have time forever, and we simply don't. Stay in your own lane. This is something I learned in recovery. Just stay in your own lane. Stop comparing yourself to people that walk on the red carpet. I'm sure everyone here is gorgeous, but we're not red carpet walkers. I'm not. And so by comparing myself to Cindy Crawford and her skin is just a very unreasonable comparison. Stay in your own lane. How are you doing compared to yesterday? Scheduling self-care time. That doesn't mean go run on a Peloton for an hour. 1 hour a day. I don't care if you sit in a closet. It's 4% of your life. You owe that gift of 1 hour a day to yourself. The rest of the world needs you those other 23 hours. Give yourself that 1 hour. Create a boundary, put a wall up, and it's 1 hour of time for you. If you communicate that to the people that live in your house or they're in your office, you're going to be shocked. They're going to respect that boundary. You may even encourage somebody else to do something. So at this point, there are some other stress busters that we have listed. Go through the materials. They're here. Meditation, being mindful. How many of us eat at our desks? I don't know about you. Obviously, you've heard I have food issues. I wait all day to eat. So I'm like plotting the next meal as I'm eating one. But then somehow it's okay to sit in front of a screen and shovel my food in as if that's not the highlight of my day. No. Be mindful. Get off of screens for 5 minutes to give yourself the gift of mindful eating and knowing what food feels like. 3 out of 7 people in our office actually tread desks, and we walk and we work. And that's not multitasking, believe it or not. It's not 2 executive functions of the brain. So you actually can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So I'm just making sure you take your screen break. So go through the rest of the materials. I am going to stop here. I don't want to hold everybody up. But we're wishing you all a wonderful afternoon, holiday season. We are available for questions. You have our emails. We realize this is not something normally people will put in the chat if they have a question. If you or somebody you love is struggling and you don't want to call your state lab, which is listed in the materials, call Pennsylvania. I'm more than happy to personally speak to you. Do not struggle in silence. Please use the story I shared so Slade's death is not in vain, please. Thank you all so much for your attendance today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos on law practice and legal marketing. See you in our next clip.